Diversity in Literature Matters. This video was created by mother-daughter writing duo R. Marion Troy and Pixie Carlisle. Meet Abby. She's 11 years old and she's excited about absolutely everything. Her big brother Atticus is a math whiz like their mom. While they're crunching numbers, Abby and her dad are usually off on adventures at the library. For a book lover like Abby, today is the best day of the month at school. It's book report topic day. Abby's teacher gives the assignment, find yourself in a book. Abby starts thinking. She'd love to see a girl who looks just like her on an adventure far away, maybe somewhere magical. Miss Sophie, Abby's favorite librarian, has pulled a few titles in advance for her. Miss Sophie's been part of a growing movement to diversify children's and young adult literature, and she knows all too well that the options in her library are very limited. In fact, 2 of the 3 books Miss Sophie found are about young adults of color in trouble with the law. That definitely wasn't the adventure Abby had in mind. Research shows that Abby's disappointment is commonly shared among children of color. The Cooperative Children's Book Center, housed at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, studies and documents the number of books for children by and about people of color. The findings are alarming. There are more books with animal heroes than children and young adults of color. Abby asks Miss Sophie why there are so few girls and boys who look like her in books. Miss Sophie begins to explain a rather complicated publishing process. While self-publishing is certainly on the rise, the entire system, from marketing to ending up on school book lists, in libraries, and in bookstores, is still created by and rigged for major publishers. So, hopeful authors send query letters to literary agents to ask them to represent their work. Publishers don't typically review unsolicited, unrepresented manuscripts. Thousands of stories are at the mercy of literary agents who pitch stories they represent to publishers. Ever notice that you see the same kinds of books at the same time? Literary agents and publishers follow trends. Once the publishing industry thinks that one series is going to become very successful, more literary agents will begin to express interest in reviewing those kinds of manuscripts. Think back a few years. Thanks to 2 successful series, a number of paranormal young adult love stories and dystopic tales have been published. There have been so many that I've noted libraries and bookstores with dedicated shelves to those trends. In many respects, publishing amounts to little more than follow the leader, so you can see how the majority of books published and heavily marketed by publishing houses end up featuring the same kinds of characters and themes. Abby realizes that she isn't the only one who cannot find herself in a book. Many of her classmates are also severely underrepresented in literature. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech was 50 years ago. Shouldn't that dream be found on our bookshelves? That's when Abby has a brilliant idea. Maybe literary agents and publishers don't fully realize the negative impact they're having on children and young adults, so Abby's going to tell them why diversity in literature matters. Just like other children, Abby has an imagination, a huge one in fact. She dreams of becoming an explorer, finding new islands and having underwater adventures. Meanwhile, her brother Atticus wants to lead the charge against the dragon invasion. You see, children and young adults, all children and young adults, want to see themselves in stories. And we all know that stories don't just live in print. Publishers are involved in book-to-screen adaptations. These movies and TV shows, and their accompanying advertising campaigns, become indelible images. We don't have to go as far back as the Clark baby doll test for empirical proof that what you see affects your self-esteem and your worldview. If we don't show diverse characters in books, which in turn become popular images, what are we telling children and young adults about their self-worth and about the worth of others? Imaging may seem intangible to some, but have you ever considered that this issue impacts grades? Studies have shown that kids who read for fun do better in school. So what happens when children don't reach for books because they never ever see themselves on covers or on the pages? Representation matters, in life and in literature. The agents and publishers loved Abby's presentation, but powerful agents and publishers can't just continue to participate in these conversations. They have to take the first brave steps to represent and adequately market diverse series, not just one book once in a while. And the need for diversity extends well beyond historical fiction. Kids of color shouldn't only be able to find stories about slavery and segregation. They want adventures, fantasies, and romances just like everyone else. Which brings me to how my mom and I became young adult authors. We know our very own Abby. A family friend couldn't find a book for her 12-year-old daughter. She wanted the story to have strong female and diverse lead characters. She challenged us to write it. We sent 1 chapter by email each week, and before we knew it, we had a 444-page book, The Enchanted Cottage of Oceana, an American Fairy Tale. Harper and Lee Reynolds aren't your average 14-year-old identical twins. They're on a quest to find their father, Chester, who was abducted from the Enchanted College of Oceana, a mysterious school for those with unusual magical abilities. At school events, book clubs, and writing workshops, we love hearing readers, young and young at heart, tell us that they enjoy losing, or better yet, finding themselves in our story. Want to continue the conversation about diversity in literature? You can find us at www.enchantedcottageofoceana.com. We're also on your favorite social networks. You can find us on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Tumblr. We're quite chatty, so always feel free to tweet at @HarpinLeads. Thank you to all who watched and to the thousands who are working to diversify our bookshelves. Special thanks to all who promote reading.